I'm Jamie. I own the Crafters Workshop, and we have been making beautiful stencils and stencil butters and all sorts of fun things for 28 years here in New York. We do not have beautiful sunshine. It looked really promising this morning, but it's kind of overcast. It's a perfect day to be doing art. So I would just say get some supplies if you're going to play along with me. Um, or just grab a piece of paper so you can take some notes and see what fun things are going to inspire you for 2026. The whole idea is to set your intention, um, just to kind of be in touch with color and how it reverberates with you and your art. Maybe even you'll have a daily practice out of this. So just I want this to be a really great launching off spot for your art in 2026. And we have a guest joining us today in studio. My daughter Rachel is going to be crafting along with us. I'm going to tilt it over so there she is. And she is in my studio here. She's 25 and she's a college student and she lives in Brooklyn. And then I am going to switch over to my work surface over here. Let's see, are we switching? Yay! Okay, so you'll get to see Rachel and what she's doing. And I always think it's kind of fun just because I can't see what you're doing at home. Although I'm sure if I look, sometimes I know some of you have your cameras on and some of you have shown me cool things. So put a little note in the chat. Oh, tried Stencil Butters for the first time the other day. I love them. Thank you, Jennifer. Um, that is awesome because I feel like stencil butters are kind of like the gateway drug. We have so many beautiful ones at Opus. I'm gonna just start with playing with a few of them, and then we're going to flow into some other fun ones. I'm gonna make sure I can. Let's see. Oh, I can't see the chat this way. Hold on. I just pressed something. Let's see. Okay. I thought I could see the chat on my phone. So this is my phone and my laptop's over on the other side. But that's what Bonnie is here for. She's going to jump in with all of your questions.
Looks like your phone switched to
Oh
portrait mode instead of
no.
landscape. Yeah, it does
You
that. Very
know.
annoying.
Oh, that is so annoying. Thank you for letting me know. Okay, hold on. There we go. Did it come back?
Yes, yeah, you're back.
Yay! Rachel's going, uh-huh. Yeah, mom. Yeah, we got that. Okay. All right, I'm just not gonna play with anything. Leave it just the way it is. Got my little notes. All right. Okay, so oh, hi Nadine. So I am coming to you from New York, which is I think I was gonna say we're in the 20s, so that would be we're in the negative negative numbers. It is below freezing. Our lakes are frozen and we might as well be in Canada. So we're just going to have fun exploring what color means to you and your relationship with color. This is not color theory rules, but it's how you personally respond to color and what makes you feel calm, what energizes you, what makes you feel hopeful. Um, I don't know if anybody has chosen a word for 2026, but I have decided, well, I think I've landed on one. I was going to do open. And I notice my hands are up because I felt like I needed to be open to all things that are going to come my way. But then I fine-tuned it a little and I thought maybe curious. So that might be my word. So I'm still working on it. And if you have a word that you've chosen for 2026, you could put it in the chat. I'm sure people would love a little inspiration for something that's going to inspire them for 2026 so they can set their intention. So we're going to start sort of with a color map of sorts. And I think I think what I'll do, I mean, when I came there in October, September, October, these colors, I mean, they hit me like I am in the Pacific Northwest, and these are the colors. So I have turquoise, ocean mist, and green pear out right now. And you don't have to do you do what speaks to you. And I don't know if you've seen me do this. I turn my colors upside down so I can just see, like the words don't mean anything to me. I have to kind of see them, almost taste them, with my eyes. So I'm going to put my papers aside. I'm going to pull out a nice piece of watercolor paper. If you've got a big giant pad, you can go ahead and either cut some pieces. They don't have to be perfectly sized. Or you can, even if you have a giant sheet, you can kind of take some masking tape and mask out little sections that you're going to work on. So it's kind of like we're going to be working in a series. So we're just going to be we're going to give ourselves a lot of grace to enjoy the colors and to see where the colors lead. So this is my well-loved turquoise. I'm going to pick up a little bit from the bottom using my palette knife. Notice I always pick it up from the bottom. That's so that I can go to my palette pad and just scrape it right down. That way I don't waste a whole lot of it. And then I always cover it because these will not dry in the containers unless you do something dumb like what I've done, which is I think I dropped one and the container cracked, and so then I found it months later with all dried up stuff inside. But if you are the type of person who likes to play with all of your projects, all of your products, and you keep them open, you are going to have very dried out products. So don't do that. That's why we put it on a palette pad so that this little half a teaspoonful, if it dries, it dries, but you're not drying out your whole jar. So I'm going to start with turquoise. I find it very calming. And I've got a sponge brush. Any brush you have is fine. And I'm going to start by just applying it directly to some paper. And this is watercolor paper. Any watercolor paper or mixed media paper that you have is fine. And I'm just going to kind of apply it and kind of enjoy it. So Stencil Butter is water-based, and it's opaque, and it dries shiny, but it also has a shimmer. Really does. I mean, even when it dries, it shimmers. It also holds its shape. So this piece on my palette pad, it will actually dry with all of these. Let's see if we get, yeah, with all of the texture, it will dry like a solid piece here. I'll just show you because I'm crazy. I save my palette sheets because I really feel like, hang on, let me take that. Look at this. This is some that dried on here. Like, there we go. You can kind of see it's got dimension. Now watch, if I tilt it, I'm literally peeling it right off. And then, yes, I am crazy. I can take this and then I can put either some glue or some gel medium on here, and then I could put it down on a project like that. And I know exactly where I want that splotch to land. So I know, a little crazy. I do save these, but my point is, can you dilute it? Oh, yes, ma'am, but we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. Oh, that's Dawn. Yes, we are going to get to that. So, and everything that you know about watercolors, you can apply to stencil butter. So here it is straight out of the jar. It's very opaque, very pretty, very shiny. Now I have a little thing of water right here, mostly clear water. And I just dipped my brush. And now I'm going to just pull it down. This is just what I had just on here from doing this part. So now I get this nice little watercolor effect. Okay, now what would happen if I took a spray bottle of water, and now I'm going to spray my surface, or if you don't have a spray bottle, you can also just take some clean water and brush it on there. Now watch what happens. I'm going to pick up some more stencil butter, hold it down, and glide. Very similar effect. Now watch. What if I want to add even more water? So I'm dipping. I just dipped in some more water. Look at that. Look at how light that is. And just like with watercolors, you can put droplets on here, and those droplets are going to dry differently. I can also sponge. I can make things puddle. I can scrape into it. It's a little bit different than watercolors because there's some depth to this. And here, let me make a nice big puddle. I'll make some puddly puddles here. Well, actually, before I do that, let me show you. You can take some paper towel. Ooh, look at how it's breaking down. Do you see that? If I let this dry like this and it starts to pool, that's how it's going to dry. But you have to be patient to let that happen. But I can also pull up color like that. Watercolor paper cold press. Yes, good stuff. Okay, so I play with that. And now, you guys, everybody knows this from your first watercolor class if you've taken one. I'm gonna put a little more water on here. And look how I scratched those little zigzags in there and it stayed there. But look at what else you can do. This is just kosher salt. I put it in a little container and now I'm dropping it. You can use kosher salt. There's plenty of salt for outside, nice chunky salt, whatever salt. Play around, see what works well. And what you're going to do is just let it dry. So I've got a pool of stuff there, so I have to move it. But I'm going to come right over here and just absorb a little bit so it doesn't drip. But we have a little spot underneath the table where we've got some newsprint or newspaper, and I'm just going to let it completely dry. And when I'm going to just show you when this is completely dry, what happens is the salt pulls, it kind of wicks the water, but it leaves the pigment, and you get these wonderful little starburst. Kind of see that. So, and then I save this paper and you can see I cut out a little shape. I was playing around with putting some tacky when dry. I've got a little bit right here that I haven't attached anything to there. But I love doing this as a starting point. Yeah. Um, for a background. So this is just the beginning. This is just one color, just playing with one color. Some nice, just getting a feel for what can these colors do. I'm going to put this to dry. Okay. I'm going to pull out another sheet. We're working in a series because I don't want you to feel like any of this is precious. And I have some color on here. Could be fun. Let's see. Oh, very subtle. Really, really soft and subtle. Doesn't really, not really doing a whole lot. But you know what? It was here, so I figured I'd give it a try. So let's add another color to our little play area. Put this one is the ocean mist. And I'm drying and wiping my palette knife in between so I don't contaminate the colors. Yeah, Rachel did a whole bunch of papers earlier today. So now she's actually going going back. Show yours just real fast. Okay. I'll take it. Not done. It's not done. And this is a no judgment zone. So she played around with making some textures and colors. This was the pear green, and now it dried, and now she's going back over it with a permanent pen and just kind of she did a little bit of painting, a little coloring. This is all just practice. It's just seeing what happens when you do this. What will this do? And then you build from there. You see what's making me happy. That's what this is all about. Okay, so now we've got our three colors here, and I've got my brush. Here's my brush. I think it's wet. Yeah, I'll squeeze it out a little bit. I was almost gonna squeeze it out onto the paper because that'll give me some fun colors too, but I'm not gonna do that. Oh, I did it. Don't listen to me. Ooh, that's kind of fun. Everything is an opportunity to make some paper, to discover what you like. I'm just taking my paper towel. If you leave it thick, does it crack? Does it crack over time? No, that's the cool thing about stencil butter. It does not crack. It is super flexible. I'll just show you again. Here's a little piece that came off. Watch. I mean, it totally, you see that? This is a piece, this is like a 1/4 inch thick. And it's super flexible. Crazy. So if I get it stuck on on something I'm working on and it's plastic, I can oftentimes just peel it off. Do you have a question?
Like somebody asked, how can you dilute it?
Oh, how can I dilute it? With water. You dilute it with water. But I'll tell you, if it dries onto your stencil and you're playing with stencils or even like, here, let me show you, like this surface that I'm working on, this is kind of a rubbery surface. I pull out, well, I got two choices. I've got my isopropyl rubbing alcohol. This is for cleanup. And then I discovered these easy screen cleaning wipes that their active ingredient is isopropanol and water. And I take one of these guys out, close it up because it's alcohol, it will dry. And then it just totally it takes a little bit of elbow grease, but if you're really trying to get something off the surface, you can kind of see how that's cleaning it out. And then actually I have then taken this and then let's see, I have a piece over here. I think it will possibly remove color. Let's see. Maybe not. Maybe once medium. Once it dries, it's set. And that's the other way that it's different from watercolors, because watercolors you can reignite with water. These act more like acrylics, so they won't. Alrighty, let's have some fun. This is a slightly moist, and I'm going to pick up 3 colors. Kind of did it like that. So it's the turquoise, the ocean mist, and the green pear. I've got them on here. Let's see what happens. So this is pretty dry. And I'm just kind of letting the color. I love when things kind of go ombre. And you can see I've got my fingers up here because you could use a sponge, if not a sponge brush. So this is one pretty look. I kind of like that. Now, what if I wanted to have a slightly wet surface? Let's try that again. So I just got a little water here. I'm not even going to dip it. Let's see what happens with just what's on my brush. Ooh, it's very pretty. I'm gonna pick up a little more of that pear green. I feel like that needs, oh, oh my gosh. One of the things is knowing when to stop. I love that striation there. Listen to that voice within you. When something feels right, when it has that perfectness, you stop. It's one of the hardest things to do. Ooh, I like that. And then one more. Maybe I'll pick up a little more of the pear green. Oh, I'm liking this. This to me is very calming and very pretty. So I'm gonna let that dry. We're just making some paper right now. Um, Seeing what makes you feel happy. Here's a thought. What if we started with a neutral? Let me grab another sheet of paper. And I think Dune. Dune is a very pretty neutral. Dune is, when I think of Dune, I think of like a pale gold. And did you see how creamy that is? So if you've never played with these, I mean, we call it stencil butter because it's like room temperature butter that you're just scooping out. If you've ever buttered done frosting, like a buttercream frosting on a cake, it has that lovely spreadability. So, and I'm not going to clean my brush because these guys are all they're all related to each other. This has a little bit of the yellow tones. These all have some of the yellows, the greens. So I'm going to just throw caution to the wind and let's see what happens. This is straight out of the jar with a slightly dirty brush. Ooh. Are you seeing what's happening? I'm picking up some of the colors that were in my sponge brush. I really do love that. Let me turn it this way now. See, I'll pick it. And it was definitely in the sponge brush. Oof, I think I'm just gonna keep trying to do that. I've just tipped the little corner in there. Now I'm gonna be generous. I'm gonna pick up some more Dune. And let's see what happens. Oh, it's just gliding. It feels so pretty. All right. And just like before I could add water, I would get like a water coloring. So I just dipped. I dipped a little bit in water. Ooh. Okay. And again, knowing when to stop, there's just, look at the subtlety. Could you kind of see maybe even cutting the paper right here? And then when this dries, making this kind of a beach landscape. Maybe. I'm gonna put that aside. I like the neutrality of this of the dune. If you have white, try it with white. If you have a beige, if you have any subtle color, I think that would be really pretty. We also have something called beach grass. Let's see how, I mean, it's also a very subtle, like barely there green. I'm gonna put a little bit of that on here. Just, I cover my jar immediately. Okay, and I'm actually gonna take any of that. I'm just going to put it right on my waste not, want not, right? Okay. What to do, what to do? Well, I think I'm going to pick up the beach grass. I still have what we were playing with here. Now I'm on this side. Let's see what happens. Oh, wow. It's very, very subtle because it's kind of wet. But let me tell, I mean, almost like the subtlety is really pretty for building and layering. Hmm. I might just leave it like that and see what we're gonna do with it once it's dry, because that's part of the fun thing about color is layering. So I'm just going to take this, let it dry, and I've got this next piece to play with. And since we're talking, I'm rolling up my sleeves and I'm gonna stick my finger in some of the dune. And here's where you get into some of the tactile stuff. Now I'm going into the beach grass. See how it blends really nicely. I feel like if you are a lover of all sorts of media, watercolor, gouache, oils, everything, pastels, I feel like stencil butter is that perfect in between, kind of the friend of everybody, because it knows how to behave no matter where you are. And I'm going to wet my finger, and I want to kind of move the colors kind of off a little bit. So I'm just kind of wetting my finger and blending kind of off this way. In my head, I'm thinking this might be a really interesting section, and then this section will be something else. So now I'm just letting you feel the texture, kind of enjoy it. I hope you had a chance to finger paint as a kid. If you didn't, this is your chance. I'm opening the door to that. So now we have, and notice I'm drying and wiping my fingers as we go. I know some people don't like to have their fingers dirty. I get that. So a lot of people often ask, so how long does this take to dry? Well, the little watercolor thing that we just made, that's completely dry. It's a little like cool to the touch. So the paper is still, let's say, damp, but I mean, you could start playing with it right now, a little damp, but something like this with a little bit of height, that'll probably take about 30 minutes. But you can always speed it up with a heat tool. So I have a heat tool here. Um, you can also, if you've got a space heater where you're working right now, you could put it near the space heater, especially if it has a fan that's blowing, or if you have a fan. I often in the summer I'll have a fan. So let me just show you quickly. I'm just going to kind of go back and forth. So notice I'm going to be moving it back and forth like that. If I keep it in one area, it's very possible that I will burn the paper, and you don't want to do that. But there's something really fun that happens to stencil butter because it is so flexible. It starts to boil, and when it boils, it actually bubbles. So here, just watch what's going to happen. Notice how I move it back and forth. You see that? So this is where it's a little bit different than acrylic, and it's a little bit different than watercolor because you can get all of these interesting bubbles. Now, it is still not completely dry. Let me show you. But it almost has a skin over it the way chocolate pudding does. But watch what you can do. I sometimes, it's so pretty, but watch. You can squish the bubbles. So sometimes I squish and sometimes I leave them. And sometimes I leave all these little mountaintop ranges. Sometimes I leave them exactly like that. Kind of depends on what I'm trying to do. But the nice thing is I can now come back over here and I can, this is not, super duper wet. It's tender. If I smush like even these peaks over here, it'll go down. But you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of on those maps that we used to have where you'd run your finger along like the Alps or the Pyrenees and you'd feel all the little bumps and yeah, you feel all the what's that?
The topographical.
The topographical maps, exactly. You would feel them. And that's kind of what this feels like. It's very, very cool. So um yeah, just the layering, the thickness, the thin. You can mix colors on the palette. Let's see if I'm still able to do that. Like sometimes I'll pick up a little color. Oh, it's starting to dry. It's starting to have a little bit of a skin. And then maybe a little bit of this. So I can mix color right here on the palette. Nice. You know what? I'm not gonna, this is kind of a different look. Let me just pull out a fresh sheet because we're just playing. So I mixed a whole bunch of colors on here and ooh, and it's my brush is a little bit wet. So you can see where it's a little bit juicy, but I could also take my palette knife and I can mix up some pretty colors. Maybe you don't even completely mix it. Maybe you leave it a little bit with all sorts of striations. I'm just going to hold it down with my fingernail and let's see. I'm going to just follow along and make some shapes. It is fun to use your palette knife as a tool as well. Let's see. Look, I'm just going to pick up some color. And you know what? This is not precious. This is you are playing, you're releasing, you're enjoying. Just picked up a little bit of the beach grass, a little bit over there. And you can also, let's see. So you can see it's starting to form a little skin, but underneath there's still some nice ooey gooey wet stuff. You can also make all sorts of textures. Or I love doing this. You touch down, pull up, touch down, pull up. This is fun. Ooh, look at how it looks when I do that over an area. I've got dark stuff on my palette knife and there was light stuff underneath. Let me make it flat so you can kind of see. It's kind of fun. Now I may not decide to use this whole thing as this. Maybe I'll just cut a small piece of it. Maybe I'll tear it. Let me dry it. You can dry it so you can move on to the next thing. Sometimes I go on the back and then I'll go on the front. What you don't want to do is burn it. And what I just did was I put my palette pad and my sponge brush into water. Okay, so I'm just drying it. This is this is just drying so that I can move on to the next thing. But you always can bubble your butter at this stage. Let's see. I'm going to try a little bit over here. So the thicker the goopy is on your stencil butter, the thicker and the bigger your bubbles. The drier it is, the more effervescent and teeny tiny the bubbles. So let's see what happens. Ah, Okay, I'll just do a little area, but did you see? Oops, let me see. I'm gonna try to, oh, there we go. Okay, I've got the light hitting just right. Do you see right over here? See in the flat areas how there's teeny tiny little itty bitty bubbles? That's that's bubbling your butter. But it also kept all of the texture that I had going on, which is a lot of fun. So just like with whenever you're playing with good watercolor paper, you can always run a bead of water. Yeah, let me do that. I'm just going to run a bead of water. And that starts to break down the paper a little bit, right? And then watch what I'm going to do. This also helps you get a nice tear. But look at this. I've got that there. I've got this little tear here. Now I might decide to take this and use it on a collage piece or on a card. Rachel was saying that she wants to make some thank you notes for all the lovely presents that she got this year. So all of these things can be pieces of cards. They can be journal pieces. Something I like to do. So I love that nice white paper that you see there, but I can't leave well enough alone. Let me show you. Actually, I'm gonna get another little brush. Here we go. Okay. Sometimes what I'll do is I will make a little bit of kind of a sort of a watercolor effect right here on my palette. So I just put a little water and a little bit of I found a soft spot of the turquoise. Add a little more water. Okay. You see how it kind of moves? Now watch. You've got this torn area. You just kind of touch it. What this does, it gives you a really nice effect for your deckled edge. So just to show you what that's going to look like against, oh, let's say we decide this is going to be part of our card, and you put it right up against like this. You kind of, I don't want to touch it because this is still a little bit wet. Of course, I could use my heat tool and dry it really fast. But look, if I put it like this, isn't that so pretty? And these bold colors and this texture, look at how it against this nice, quiet, calm background. Pretty, right? So those are that's your first color memory map, just kind of seeing what colors blend, watering it down, the washes, very in light washes, kind of medium washes, then some texture. Um, let's see, I was playing around with some of these earlier. Ah, I was doing a lot of fun stuff. So I decided to do a little exploration of what happens when with my sponge brush. So we'll do a little bit of that. So all of these are just pieces of something I'm going to use. I'm making paper, I'm exploring color. Um, and these just are, you're giving yourself a new palette. This is something else to play with. Okay. And I may or may not keep this palette. I'm debating, but because this is a palette pad, it comes off like this, and then hang on, just not take it with all the moisture, and then you just peel it off, and now you have a fresh surface to work with. I'm gonna put that in the garbage for now. Okay, so what's next? Let me check if anybody's got any questions. No. Okay. How are you doing there, Miss Rachel? She's having fun. Okay. I'm just curious. Is anybody playing along? Are you taking notes? Just I wanted to see who's out there. Everyone's like studying. Okay. Everyone's working hard.
I was going to say, feel free to put in the chat if you're taking notes or yeah, we have a couple people who are just taking notes right
Taking
now.
notes. Awesome. Can you use inks with this? Yes, you can. Lots of notes, tiny sketches. Oh, I love tiny sketches. Um, yes, you can definitely, this is mixed media. You can mix inks with this. You could put ink down first. You could do stencil butter on top of it. You could do a wash of stencil butter and then ink on top. If your ink is permanent ink, then I mean you could then put ink right on top of this because it's permanent and it will sit on top of this. If it's like a water-based if it's a water-based marker, it may, since this is a slightly, first of all, it's a textured surface and it's a shiny surface. So one of the things that we did pull out to play with are a whole bunch of Posca markers because Poscas are opaque. And there's a bunch of other pens out there that are also opaque. I'll just show you a little some. So this is now seems pretty dry. Like I could just add some nice decor. And because it's a paint pen, it sits just like paint would. It sits right on top. Isn't that fun? So whether I'm doing over here, the watercolored area, let me move that up a little bit. Or if I'm going over this area with all this texture. Actually, hang on. Let me get and just in case you've never used these, you shake them and they start off white and you kind of depress them a little bit to get the ink flowing. So this one is some sort of yellow. Yellow, just yellow. It is yellow. So I'm just gonna look at that. Even a yellow goes right on top. Isn't that fun? So this is the whole idea is this is color. It's whatever you trust your gut today. It's whatever you feel would be pretty. Little sunshine, little happiness. Maybe you're feeling very pensive and you're taking stock of 2025 as you go into 2026. So pretty. Let that dry. Move on to something else. Just keep building, building, building. That's what all of these pieces are for. And then, I mean, if you wanted to, if you have a journal, if you have, I know I was reading somebody has I think a 12 by 12 canvas, and they made individual little pieces. I think they were something like 2 by 2 or 3 by 3, and then they put them all of their exploration, their color explorations right onto a canvas. So that would be a lot of fun too. Or I'll show you something cool. Hold on. I had a whole bunch of papers that I made. And then I used I think it was a 1.5-inch hole punch. And I'm just kind of exploring where this goes with it. But I just took some twine and I made this fun little wall hanging. I'm going to make a whole bunch of these and just dangle them. But it's not always about what am I going to do with this. It's the enjoyment. Where is this taking me? I don't know about you, but if any of you out there have studied art therapy, the process of your hands being busy and your eyes being busy, it really quiets parts of our brain and it allows us to almost be meditative. So that's one of the nice things to do with all of these explorations into color is to let your mind just kind of be free and see where it wanders. Like you mentioned gouache. Let's see. Before, but is similar in texture buildup. But gouache, I think, can crack. I don't think there's a flexibility. Does anybody else? It's been a while since I've played with gouache.
Yeah, so
It's a bit
traditional,
thicker. Yeah.
traditional water-based wash, the stuff that you can reactivate, that is going to crack over time. If you're using like an acrylic wash, it shouldn't because it's got that flexible acrylic polymer. But yeah, and so I'd say like the stencil butter when it's applied, it's a bit thicker than a traditional wash, and even a bit thicker than an acrylic wash as well.
Nice. Thank you for that
Much
explanation.
creamier.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk a little bit about um, color transitions and cool. What does calm, cool look like for you? And then we'll talk about the warms and what represents your joy and your energy. So I'm going to do this on two different papers, and I think I will bring in. Look, I've got my brush here. I'm going to show you, and I think what I'm just going to do is I'm going to squeeze it. Yep, of course I got it on there, but that's okay. But I'm just going to squeeze it out just to kind of, but I don't want to totally clean it because I am really grooving on some of these colors. I mean, they're not going to all be these colors, but I just, I just really like them. All right, so now it foamed a little bit, which I liked. Did you see that? So I'm going to let me just show you what happens. Look, especially with a foam brush. Look, this is the remnants. This is just water, stencil butter. I can't get enough of that. It's wet, so that's where it's going to have a shimmer. It's not going to have the same shininess because the water has watered it down. But I mean, I just love the how it gets foamy, and I really, really, really love how neutral and how just like frothy it is. I think that's a Bonnie question. Bonnie, you want to jump in? Don has a question
Yeah,
about
I was going to say, I was
gouache.
just going to answer this in the chat, but I can
Oh,
also talk about it if you don't mind
yeah,
me.
yeah, go ahead.
So acrylic gouache is just going to be it's going to be thinner than a heavy body gouache, so a bit between like a heavy body and a soft body. Um, so it's got a bit of texture, but and it's going to self level as it dries. So it's not going to keep any of the peaks. So much like a traditional gouache, it's going to dry very flat. It's also going to get very matte as it dries. So again, this is sort of why it's mostly used in advertising. It's really good if you're trying to photograph your work at the end because you won't need to deal with any gloss, sort of obstructing the pictures you take of it. I believe we carry two different acrylic gouaches. We carry Liquitex and we carry Holbein. So Holbein is acrylic gouache and the Liquitex is just Liquitex gouache, acrylic gouache. Um, yeah, that's sort of a really quick and messy run through of it, but
I love it. Thank you.
yeah.
I learned a lot. So I'm just, that's what this is for, and I'm so glad everybody's on. That's why live is so cool. I mean, we can all pull up a YouTube video and sit there at 3 in the morning, but when it's live and you can interact with a specialist, an expert in art supplies like Bonnie, and then you can see while I'm playing and you can say, well, what about if you took such and such and added such and such to it. I'm going to do seafoam, I think. These are I'm just these are just such pretty colors. Yeah, that's what makes the Opus classes really so cool is that they're really interactive. I mean, I know it's funny. I think Jeff has any my friend Jeff does classes for Holbein. Am I right? Am I remembering that Jeff does those?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. There's some great teachers. So I'm a fangirl of a lot of the teachers who do the classes at Opus. So, and I'll also tell you, I mean, I'm in New York and we are in an art supply desert, if you can believe that. We are not so lucky as to have beautiful Opus stores, how many of them within a stone's throw. You can jump on you have the trolley, is the trolley trains?
We've got the sky
Oh,
trains and we've got
yep,
buses.
and
And
buses.
sea
I
buses as well. Yeah.
Yep, I went on a bunch of those, and you guys are really, really lucky if you're in that area to be able to and each store is super different. That's what I loved. I did a whole bunch of demos. I was in 5 different stores, and w- each one was different from another one. It was like such a treat. So you are lucky. Not everybody has a beautiful store like you do. So please, 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 pop in there. Oh, and I'll also tell you, if you go to the website and the Opus website, and I don't know, like they're out of something on the website, that doesn't mean they're out of it in the store. So you can always call the store. Everybody is lovely. And one store might have it, and maybe they can move it from one store to another. So just because it says it's out of stock doesn't mean it really, really is. I'm just going to tell you that. I learned that. That was something new for me. All right.
Also, are you
Yeah.
able to use like a pencil crayon
Oh,
over top of the stencil butter?
yes. It depends on the pencil. So even this versus like when I run my finger across where I've already put down a little bit of stencil butter, there's a slipperiness to it because there's a shine and there's a shimmer that it leaves behind. And whereas, the paper over here, there's more of a grip to it. So some pencils may not have enough to grab onto it. Some pastels might, some might not. But what you could always do is you can take this surface and then you can take clear gesso and put some clear gesso over it. And then you've prepped it for the next layer. The other thing you can do is take some very fine sandpaper and you can sand it, or you can take an emery board and you can sand it just to scratch up the surface a little bit. So it's a great question. And all pencils are different. There are watercolor pencils, there are oil-based pencils. So it's kind of like you pull out a few things and give it a try. Or if you have some paper that you've made and you go into the store, Opus often has a little try it station depending upon what they're featuring that month. Plus, they also might have in the back, an open box of the pencils you're considering buying, or pull out your pencils, or the, the Opus stores are so what's the word I wanted? It's so easy to access. They're accessible. They're open. Everybody there loves the stuff in the store. So you are among friends. So that's the fun. This is all exploration, curiosity. That's kind of the my word, and there's a reason for it. So yeah, that's the long answer to your short question. So I'm going to use my palette knife just to kind of pick up a bunch of these. But the paints adhere 4 years to wood, glass, and how many years would they be color fast? Oh, okay. They're not color fast as you would think. Like a Monet, that sort. It's not that level of fine art material, but I mean, mine have never faded, and I'm pretty abusive to mine. But I need to let you know that. It Our stencil butters love any porous surface, so wood is wonderful, but this is not waterproof. So you can't go out and have it on something, outside. You can't put it on a sign for outside. It'll remoisten, it will soften. But you of course could then put a shellac over it or some sort of a glaze over it. So believe it or not, I've got 3 colors mixed in here. Let's just see. Ooh, that is so pretty. I'm just going to show you real fast. Look at that. I could leave it just like this. But I can't.
Could you also stamp over top of the dried stencil butter?
Oh, yes. That is a great question. Hang on. I'll do a quick demo of that. Yeah, I'm just moving it around. You can scratch into it. Like you can scrape it. And this is a slightly wet. Let me wet it a little bit more. You can also like fan it out. And you can even like swoosh. So these are my calm colors. Oh, that is so pretty. That green that's coming up from the lime green. That's such a pretty green. Okay, I'm gonna let this dry just like this. So this is kind of my calm, pretty colors. I'm gonna put that. I'll leave it right here for a second. I'm gonna grab a rubber stamp because I think I have a few stampers in here who probably are curious. And I was just playing with my stamps. Let's see. and I was playing with my permanent ink. Hold on. Rummaging and rummaging. Let's see if I can. Ah, there we go. Okay, I'm coming. Ah! Okay. So I have a Merry Christmas stamp here. It just happens to be what I have. Now I'll take this away. And let me grab some of the sweet little papers. Do this little one. Well, the person who asked the question, after the paints are completed, okay, Angela. After the paints are completely dry, I know it will work beautifully on something where it's, you know, there's a light effect on here. So let me just show you what that looks like. Notice I'm just sticking everything into water when I'm not using it. Okay, so for those of you who don't rubber stamp, this is a, that's a rubber stamp. It comes, it's a, I forgot what they're called now, a cling, and you buy a lucite block. And then I'm just using a pigment ink. Permanent ink might be nice, would be really nice too, but let me just show you here. We're gonna do a quick Merry Christmas. And I'm gonna press. And they're all different inks too. Pretty. Okay. So that is a pigment ink, meaning it stays, it has a little glycerin in it and it stays wet a little bit longer. Okay, it's what you were looking for. I can also, I can do it over here, but because of the texture, it's more because of the texture than the actual shininess of the paper. Will I have, you know, any, you know, a stamp needs a flat surface. So when you have a textured surface there, it's not gonna, the rubber part isn't going to be able to hit all the surfaces just right. But I mean, there, let me show you, there is a way. Hold on. Let me grab a little piece of paper. Ooh. Rachel, hold yours. Rachel's having a lot of fun with her calm colors. Here, I'll show you. She used a whole lot of stencil butter and just brushing it on. Oh my gosh, this is quite delicious. What color did you use? You used seafoam. She just did seafoam right out of the jar, and she's just finding her calm. What I was going to say is, let's say you take a scraper and you pick up all the colors that were on here. And if I were to just scrape the colors, it's a little, yeah. So you see, it's a little bit chunky because they started to dry a little bit on me, but let me see. There we go. I'm kind of smoothing it out. Okay, so this is stencil butter scraped. And once this dries, it is just thick and beautiful and shiny and shimmery and flexible. So yes, you can stamp on this. It the pigment ink, if it says pigment ink, it will most likely work nicely. If it says permanent ink, it will definitely work nicely. So you just have to watch what your inks are. If it says like water base, or if it says dye ink, DYE, it will not work. So that's the dye-based ink is basically like using a magic marker, and that just will not work. No way, no how. Hold on, I just stepped in my, I'm wearing slippers. I just stepped on my project. Okay, I'm wearing those slippers right now. So anyway, this is gorgeous. And for those of you who also love to use dyes as in DIE, you can send this through on your die cutting machine and you can cut out shapes, you can cut out words. Because it is so flexible, it won't crack when it goes through this, you know, cranking machine. So that's a little bit about that. Now, what about warm textures? We've done all of these beautiful, soft, flowy, delicious colors. Rachel was working on some really warm stuff. Let's see, oh yeah. She had the bronze, the copper out. She was doing a lot of fun stuff with the copper. And then for warmth, I mean watermelon is so pretty. These are just gorgeous. So this is champagne, pink lemonade, watermelon, crimson, and copper. So those are some absolutely gorgeous colors. And I'll just show you a little bit of the fun you can do with this. And again, sometimes I'm curious if you think right now, just for a moment, think about what color would make you happy today to play with. I want you just in your mind, think of what color it is. Okay. This is, you're gonna laugh. I would do this in my classes, and people would start, doing a certain color. And then I'd say, okay, now I want you to look at yourself and see what colors are you wearing. And chances are the color you just thought of and the color you were like, this is the color that's going to make me happy today. It's the color you put on this morning. No joke. We kind of like, I always say we wake up with a color, and that is the color that we are all day long. Could even be all week. I mean, just there's something about color. I think that, I don't know, it's sort of like our flag that we just decide we want to be flying today. It's color. So crimson, watermelon, these are pretty. I could stop right there, but why stop there when you can just keep going? Hold on. What's fun to always add in is both the champagne gold and let me put some of that in there. And also the dune. Oh, aren't these gorgeous? I don't know about the copper yet. I haven't quite decided if copper belongs there for me today. But here is the dune, which I said is kind of like the pale version of champagne gold. Oh, such gorgeous, gorgeous colors. Okay, so I think I'm going to start with what I would call a neutral, which is the dune. I'm just going to put that down. Maybe I'll finger paint a little bit. Okay, there's the dune. I'll go into the gold. Oh, I don't know. This stuff just makes me so happy. Now I'm going to pick up the pink lemonade. Look at how it just, you see that? And then I like the watermelon, but I'm going to kind of blend the watermelon a little bit with the pink lemonade. And then I'm going to pull a little bit of the dune into the watermelon and pink lemonade. These just, they kind of feel festive to me, these colors. Yeah, I'm about to touch the crimson, but I'm like, oof, I don't know if I'm ready for that. I'm going to go back to the champagne. I'm going to bring the champagne over to this side. And I'm letting myself go off the page a bit. Oh, yeah. Giving a little bit more of that gold right where it needs it. And then picking up a little bit of the pink lemonade and the watermelon. Ooh, 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 wow. Okay, let me show you. I love that. Look at how that ombre effect right there. Delicious. Okay, I'm just gonna color. I'm kind of thinking I'm gonna stop there. I'm just gonna stop and I'm gonna let it dry. And then, I mean, I might even tear it all the way around here and then superimpose it onto something else. Or maybe I'll cut it in strips and then I'll weave it. But there's, it's interesting. There's something almost energizing about these warmer tones. They're kind of cool, warmer tones. So that's my little exploration of the warm and the cool. Kind of liking that. So the thing about of working in a series, let me just remind you, is that nothing is precious. Nothing is, Oh my gosh, I just ruined it, right, Rachel? We were talking about, she was like, oh, I don't know if I like this. What were some, I'll grab some of the things she was working on. And the truth is, you're just playing. It's all an exploration. There's no right, there's no wrong. And if you don't like it, guess what? You can throw it in the garbage. And it really doesn't matter. Oof, bring us to me. Yay. Oh, wow. Okay, so this looks like it's a lot of dune with a little bit of sea foam underneath and a bunch of texture. Oh, I like that as a starting point. That'll be really fun. I mean, you could work also if you work on stretch canvas or those wooden boards. Bonnie, what are they called again? Those I always forget your name for it. The boards that have
Their cradled panels are just the card
yes.
are just the wooden ones, but we also have canvas. I think they're canvas panels, are
Oh,
just like a flat piece of canvas stretched over a just like a board. So they're very nice, very simple, really easy to sort of take around with you.
well, I love those because that it's a great surface that you can then tear all of these little pieces or cut pieces or die cut pieces and then apply to another surface. So I feel like these are all, here you go, sweetie. These are all just like the starting points of so many things. What else can you, Rachel, can you grab me some of the ones where you did dots?
Yes. Let me ask the question.
Oh, somebody asked a question. Oh, could we use a brayer? Oh my goodness gracious me. Wait. Oh, look, I just happen to have one. Well, yes, we absolutely can, and I think we should. Hold on. Let's just have a little fun, why don't we? All right, before we jump on that, oh, let me. Oh my gosh, these are fun. Okay, so Rachel is she's about an hour or two ahead. We were playing, she did a background, and then she took these wonderful brushes that we sell. These come six in a pack. These are our um, blending brushes. And she smushed it into color, and then she went smush, smush, smush. So she's made this really fun background. And this, I think, is seafoam background with the peregrine dollops. And then she did some dollops here, and then she played around with drawing some flowers. Still got more to do. What else you got? Oh, and those. Hey, you just playing. This is what she was working on. I think taking a Sharpie pen and adding, or even taking the markers, the Posca markers. I think those would be a lot of fun around those. Okay, so now we're going to do, we're going to play with our brayer because why not? It's here. So I'm going to load it up. And these brayers are by Speedball and Opus has them. And watch what I'm going to do actually. Here. I like going forward, backward, forward, backward. And look, it starts to blend, but whatever you glopped on at first, it kind of remembers. So actually, I feel like it needs a little lightening. I'm gonna put some what? But yeah, it's cool, right? I'm gonna put a little dune action on there. Okay, a little bit of dune going on. And you can also like see I just skid. You can go forward, backwards, forward, forward. Um, and you can also skid. I like doing that. Um, but you can absolutely load this thing up and just get some great texture. Voila. And then this I'm going to drop into some water so that because cleaning this off, you're going to need to clean it with alcohol if you don't get it right now while it's wet. So I have this little bucket of water and it's down by my feet and I just put that in there. Important, important. This will dry super fast. It'll dry even faster if I hit it with the heat gun. And then you can do all sorts of additional stuff with this. Hang on. Ryan, I'll heat it. So if you notice it's curling, when it's wet, it'll curl it'll be concave in the direction that you're warming it. It's the way the fibers work. So then I flip it over and I do this side. And it's mostly dry now. I feel like it is. And sometimes what I'll do is I'll just kind of wiggle, try to get it back into the shape that it needs to be. You can always put it under something heavy. I was just touching my surface because you can easily transfer something on, if your surface is wet. But anyway, it is nice and dry now, which makes for another fun thing to do. Here is a stencil. This one is called Microbial. Yes. And
Oh, we do have a question in the chat. Can we see the blue printed paper that you cut up again?
Oh, yes. Would it be, is this the piece?
Yeah. Oh, yes, I believe it's that one.
With this nice edge?
Yeah.
Oh,
nope, they're saying it's not that one.
Oh, hold on. This piece, let's see, there was this one. This one.
I think it might have been that one with the stamp.
Let's see. Sadguna, which one is it? Dude, what else did I play with?
It's a darker blue one, she's saying.
Oh, I wonder if it's the one that I nearly, oh no, it was this one. Darker blue. Let me see if I'm hiding something somewhere. Oh, maybe this one is drying.
Maybe it's that one.
Let's see. I'm looking over at Rachel's section. I wonder if it was was it one of mine that I demonstrated, or was it one of Rachel's?
I'm not sure.
You
didn't paint it during the session.
Okay. This one. This is a I bet you it's this one. It's a color that Opus doesn't carry that I want them to. It's called navy. But it's the one that I put a lot of water on, and I sprinkled the kosher salt. Here's the kosher salt. I sprinkled it on here, let it dry, and then people are like, oh, then you leave the salt on. I'm like, no. Then you scrape off the salt like that and all into the garbage, and all the salt comes off. And then I took the Starry Stars stencil that we have, and I used our Tacky When Dry, and then I made little stars. You can see that, and I'll do this really quick, since this is something that Opus has. It's just beautiful stuff. They have tons and tons of our gold. What is that? So Tacky When Dry Medium is with the Stencil Butters, and it goes on white, and it has that same nice thickness to it, that same dimension, which is why, we make stencils. And so we purposely make all of these goodies that will go through a stencil, and it's not going to, go underneath the way inks do and the way acrylics do. And so you use the Tacky When Dry through a stencil. Make sure you wash your stencil. And then when it dries completely, it's white when it's wet, but when it dries clear, like glass clear, you see that? That's when you can take some of our foils, and then you just touch the area with the bottom of your finger, not your fingernail, and you pull it away, and you have gorgeousness. So I just love the way the gold pops off this, but it would also be gorgeous on turquoise too. I mean, look at how turquoise would pop if I did it on turquoise. So there's so many beautiful things that you can do. Oh, look, here's actually, you can see the salt has, yeah. Can you hear it? Wait. Not sure if you can hear it, but anyway, I'm crunching it off with my finger. Let me put it in the garbage. Well, one area is dry. So you can kind of see, we did this earlier. There we go. You see how that's the salted area. Oh, and there's a little bit over here. Oh, it's drying. Ooh, and there too. So I'm just kind of swirling the salt off with my finger, just like you would on a watercolor. And I'm going to throw away all the salt, but what it leaves behind is this very, very lovely texture, which then you can build up from there. Mm. Ooh, look at how cool that would look. That might be a Christmas card. I think what I would do is I would trim this so it's nice and straight and then layer it onto here. Look at that. Kind of a seaside Christmas card, maybe up a little bit higher. And then mount this onto a white card. Oh, speaking of white cards, look at the new thing that that Opus just brought into the stores. 10 blank cards and envelopes. So you get A2 size cards. So an A2 is the smaller size. Oh, can we see how the copper looks? Sure. But you can get cards at Opus now because, you know, and these are just plain cards. These aren't the watercolor cards. I know those are really, really pretty, but if you just want kind of wham bam, thank you, ma'am, 10 blank folded cards and envelopes, this is a really nice little set. We just put that together for
Well,
the
and the
folks
nice
at
thing
Opus.
is, since they come with envelopes, you can always just put what you want on top of them. So you can collage on top of them, and then you got a little envelope with them.
Yeah. Okay, what was it? Copper, copper, copper. Ooh, I know how we'll use copper. Thank you for look at this. So I was just going to show this and putting a stencil on top of it just to bring out some color. That could be really fun. And I feel like I'm gonna, yeah, okay. I'll do copper so you can just see how delicious and beautiful it is. And throwing my palette knife into water every time. Otherwise, I'm going to have a fun cleanup project. So I'm just going to put it down on my palette pad, close it up. Ooh, so pretty, so pretty. So when I'm using a palette knife with a stencil, I pick up the stencil butter from the bottom of the offset palette knife, and then I hold it down. The holding down is important, especially since now it's the paper is curved a little bit because it's curling. And I just swipe, swipe, swipe. Notice these are nice long swipes. And I'm starting at about 45 degrees, but then I'm smooshing down to closer to, uh, this is 45, and then that would be 90, I guess. And I'm just not going to overplay. I'm going to put that down. I did not move my hand. And now I'm going to start at an opposite corner. Let's see here, here. And I'm just going to roll it away. And I'm going to put this directly into water with my brayer, which is hopefully not full of stuff. So what this allowed you to do is to get some dimension. There we go. Yeah. And not disrupt the prettiness when you pull the stencil away. Sometimes you do a beautiful job, and then that last part where you're taking the stencil off your project, boom, you smush the whole thing. So that whole rolling technique, not moving your less dominant hand, I kept it and I pulled it from the opposite side and I rolled it back with my dominant hand. And then if you happen to use this stencil, which is microbial, there's another one that has circles. Circles really love to be bubbled with butter. So let me tell you. I'll leave one section. Uh, It might still be a little too wet, but anything that has a circular shape and you bubble it, it pops up like little round, like, I don't know, little round mountains. So I'm going to leave this. This can stay flat and nice and smooth, but then the wetter it is, the rounder the bubbles are. It's kind of cool. But yeah, you know what? This needed copper 100. I was thinking about using crimson but thank you. I think the copper is totally perfect for this. This will be something very, very cool. So a lot of nice stuff we just did here. Um, let's see. I'm trying to think. We've got 10 more minutes. Okay, so now I would say let's try something kind of intuitive color journey where you just now that we've kind of tried cools, we've tried warms, we've done some finger painting, we've done some brushing. What is she saying? Uh, uh, let's see. Hold on, I'm just reading. I'm trying to read. I have to I'm going back and forth. Can we see how the copper looks? Is there something else there, Bonnie? I
Oh,
didn't.
we do have someone who's
I'm scoring
asking,
the
can
messages.
you put these frames behind glass?
Yes, yes, yes. Actually, hang on. Let me
Or these cards, I guess I should say.
yeah, hang on. I've got something here. I've been working on something for some future classes. So yeah, I bought these little 4-inch frames. And these are going to be some of the future classes that I'm doing, but absolutely, this is behind glass. And I started with some of these beautiful color explorations and then kind of took it wherever it wanted to go. And then I don't think these are too high, but if they are too high for you, watch what I do. I just smush them, which I actually kind of like. I like the smushed, not like it's not a perfect smush. Can you see that? Let me see if I tilt it. I love that texture. I think it doesn't look like anything else that you might be using in your art. And just that difference. Oh, if you scratch it by mistake, can you remove the scratches while wet? Rachel, I think we did a little bit we had some scratches that we then flattened out, did we? Let's see.
Yeah, I think so.
I think so. We did, you can somewhat. Well, why don't we I'll just grab another sheet of paper. You have scratches. It is forgiving. This is the copper. And let me get another brush. Okay. And just gonna, so it's nice and thick in the middle here. And I'm gonna work it make it a little less opaque down here. And then I'm gonna dip into a little bit of water. Ooh, I do love how that happens. Yeah. Okay. So you were asking what happens if you get some scratches, right? I guess that's maybe what she was saying. And then you're like, oh no, I didn't want those scratches there. So let me take my palette knife. Before it forms a skin, you can somewhat flatten it out. Yeah. But once it forms a skin, you're going to have a little bit of a harder time. So I'll make some marks. Actually, it's fun to make marks with other colors. So this is the crimson. And then you go, oh, I'm not sure I like those marks. Now what can I do? So it's not like oils where you can keep working it. It responds more like acrylics. But let's see. Look at that. It's still it has some memory, but in a fun way. I actually kind of really enjoying this. So you can see where it remembers where some of those scratches were. The red kind of fell into it. It's forming a little bit of a skin. But what would be really fun is to hit it with the heat gun and see what happens from there. Oh, I'm glad you got some good ideas. Let's see. There it goes. So the thicker the texture, the bigger the bubbles. Did you notice that? So take a, it's curling because it's still very wet. But if you notice over here, the bubbles are pretty small as opposed to over here where it was a big swoosh of color. But while it's wet, and it's still a little bit wet, you still can do some scraping, I think. Let's see. Maybe not. Maybe I need something sharper. Hang on. Put that in water. I have a scrapey tool. Maybe get one of these. Let's see. Oh, yeah. You can definitely do some mark making. That's kind of fun. And I bet you too, if I hit it with the heat gun, it will bubble in different ways. Let's see. It's like it's bubbling or like we made like little we took a snow plow and it's bubbling around the snow plow. And then you know what I really want to do is tear this and see what I'll do it this way. Yeah. That I love. When you're working with nice paper, you get some really pretty tears. So you can keep this snow white and actually you can I think this is where I scratched it. It kind of broke right where I scratched it, actually. It's kind of interesting. This is very rough. Like that too. Here, let me turn this over. Kind of see how rough. Oh, I'm glad you liked it. Ah, so I just want to leave you with some thoughts. Hang on, let me here, I'll turn this back. Hey Bonnie, you want to put it on the other one?
There we go.
Thank you. So just some thoughts to leave you. Like this is a really nice time to start. And I wrote myself some notes. Actually, you're welcome. Oh, I'm glad you had a good time, Nadia. Um, choose one color each day this week and explore it. Keep a color journal. What colors appeared in your day, in nature, or in your mood. Um, work in a series. This is not a new concept. Rachel's dad was an artist in the 70s, and he was so prolific. He worked constantly in a series, making, minor tweaks as he went. It's not a new concept, and there's a reason that traditional artists do this. It's so that it's kind of muscle memory. It's so that you kind of you explore all the things that this one particular media has to offer you. So try working in a series, let one exploration flow into the next. Be kind to yourself, right? Because we were talking about how my Rachel girl, um we were talking, she was making something and she was like, oh, I don't like this, or oh, this didn't come out good. I'm like, who cares? It's a piece of paper. So enjoy it. Let me move this as my microphone. Hold on. Enjoy it. Do beautiful things, and just be really kind and really good to yourself. It's 2026. We're starting new. I've got a whole bunch of really fun classes coming up in February and in March. Bunny, I don't know if you've got those. Oh, how many different colors? There are a lot of colors, Joy.
Let me
Um,
just, I believe we have your next event already set up. Let me just find it.
and
I believe it is February 12th, which is let me just check on my calendar, my handy dandy calendar. Um, That is a Thursday.
It's a Thursday, same time, 11
Same
to
time.
12:30 Pacific, or if you're on the East Coast, 2 to 3:30. And what's I gonna say? Oh, in your email, Bonnie is going to send you a link to Opus, and there's a coupon, right? Is there a coupon, Bonnie?
Yes, yep. So it's going to be a 10% off demo code. So definitely enjoy that.
Oh, New York's in the house. Awesome. Yeah, so there's that. And there are a lot of colors. I want to say Opus carries 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I think 17 colors.
I think so. Yeah. You can, I'll put a link in the chat. You can take a look at them.
Bonnie, do you still have that little PDF of the little color
I
swatch?
believe I do. Let me just check.
Okay, there is this
And I will include that in the follow-up email if I can find it.
Thank you. There is a cool swatch card that I made where you can keep track of the colors either that you want or that you don't want or that you have or that you saw and all the colors that Opus carries. Did you have fun?
Yeah, I did have fun.
Thank you so much for
Oh,
spending the
yes, I do have it. And I will include that in the follow-up email. All right.
Awesome.
I believe that
Okay.
is time for everyone. So thank you everyone for joining us on this very fresh day in the new year. Happy 2026 to everyone and have a wonderful Friday.
Bye.
Bye.